And I have not been bombed. Maybe I shouldn't brag about it. But I have not been attacked in any significant way that I am afraid for myself. My life has not been threatened like René's. The worst that I've gotten is suggestions that I be taken behind the woodshed and slapped around a little bit. So I think that the same way that Americans have an image of Cuba that is romanticized, and that was romanticized throughout history, the world has a little bit skewed image of the exiles in Miami, because in fact you find a wide variety of opinion. Some of it which is not as boldly as expressed as it should be, but you do find it. But I think that what's more interesting for me, aside from the politics and aside from the repression and intellectual repression that happens in Miami and still happens, aside from that, again, as a writer, my curiosity is why. And I think I have a wonderful Dominican friend who talks about la dictadura en la casa, the dictatorship in the home, and how when she was a little girl, they were always whispering about the father behind closed doors, and you couldn't really attack him directly. And it's a cultural problem for us, and I think it's a human problem, really, that's expressed to varying degrees in various cultures, but it is the tension between the autocrat and the sort of charming raconteur. And you'd be hard-pressed to find a Cuban who can't tell a good story, a good, charming story. It was my delight to spend some time with Rafael and René last night, and you die laughing. I mean, it's just, René's a very funny storyteller. And most Cubans are. I mean, you know, it's dangerous to engage in stereotypes, but you will find that there's a love of storytelling and a deep tradition of storytelling. And at the same time, there is an impulse to be in charge of the sole narrative in our culture. And I think that before we begin to talk about political change and what's possible, yes, we can agree on some basic things. We can agree on the need for dialogue. We can agree on the need for openness. I think we also need to, as Cubans, examine what in our culture impedes that, and how we can begin to transcend those traditions that hold us back in that arena. And I'm talking both sides of the straits, because again, we engage in this duality of Cubans on the island and Cubans out, and right and left, and in fact it's the same people. It's one big family, and they're nuts, and they scream and they yell, and but they are the same people, and there is a deep love, and there is a deep respect, and you won't find, I mean, Cubans, I think Cubans at heart, even outside of the island, they're, you know, when you hear Chavez compared to Fidel, you know, Cubans will be kind of a little angry about that. You know, well, he's no Fidel. You know, Fidel is Fidel, and so you have this this culture that is very proud, and I think that we make a lot of progress by emphasizing those parts of our culture that are helping us, and examining what has brought us to the present day. And what has led us to exile poets and free thinkers throughout our history, and humiliate them, and send them abroad. And it's something that goes all the way back to the 19th century, of course, with Martin. Anyways, I am out of time, so thank you for being here, and I'll pass it on.
Socialismens idé som enade Kubas folk.